Hello, brothers and sisters of the Briar. Professor Jeremiah here, and happy Cobb Tuesday. Well, I'm wearing my pith helmet today because of the tobacco which I'm smoking. Smoking my bent egg, Missouri Meerschaum. The dogs, you can't see them really. They're all around. Hey, what are you doing? Their scalp. Everybody's all around me. I think maybe I still have some treats in my pocket from earlier. They must be smelling them. Nope, we don't knock the camera off. Okay. So, the tobacco that I'm smoking some Sutliff African Queen. In yesterday's video, I mentioned a couple of blends which had surprised me. Cornell and Dill's Autumn Evening. That really has been a nice surprise, and I'm pretty sure it'll enter in among some of my regular rotation at this point. And the other, which definitely has moved into really, I would say, my top five, is the vanilla custard, Sutliff's vanilla custard. Great. Well, this is Sutliff's African Queen, and I had this tobacco a number of years ago. I think I don't know, may have been around the time that they first came out with it. Enjoyed it then, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it then as much as I am now. I don't know if it's just the name and causing me to kind of reminisce, or if it's the blend of Turkish Mozambique tobacco with a little Virginia. In some of my early videos, I talked about us growing our own Gold Virginia tobacco in the village. And of all the things which we grew in the village, that Gold Virginia tobacco did the best. Sorry, I got a dog here, very anxious. You want this? Okay. You gotta get it? Okay. Now we're gonna have a jealous dog. All right, you gotta go and lay down. But we grew our own tobacco there. I'd planted a lot of different things in the village, and I was always trying so many different vegetable crops and just seeing what we could get to grow in the village. I couldn't get tomatoes to do very well. They just wouldn't produce. Tried watermelons, and we had a strange little bug that would come and bore a hole in them, would bore the same hole in our squash, devastate it. And each time we might have a watermelon get about this big around, and then you'd see a little hole in it, and that was it. And I even captured some of the bugs in a little vial and took them to the Ministry of Agriculture and asked them, and they really didn't know. They weren't familiar with it. They told us to try a spray, and that didn't work. Anyway, long story short, as we kept trying different things, I tried some tobacco. And I put Havana leaf and the Gold Virginia. And the Havana leaf did good. That was more of a fault on my end, is that I should have cut that stalk and hung the whole stalk. But the Gold Virginia, I was cutting it off as I saw the leaves ripen independently. And I would hang them up in the house. And the dog's watching the every move of my hand. But anyway, I would hang those leaves up in the house and let them cure there. Now, I will say that's one thing, is the smell that you got wasn't bad, but it was very earthy, a very, very earthy smell. But the tobacco could have been our cash crop in the village, and the security issue happened 1 year after that first crop. The issue that we had that really in the end closed the doors for us being there. Even after the problem, we were going to continue to stay, but in the end was the government, the local government, that said that we couldn't continue working in that same location. They said, just choose another place. And we thought, well, that's easy to say. You didn't build everything that's here. You didn't build your house out of mud block. You didn't build your barn. You know, it's easy to say choose another place, but you know, also when you feel called to a particular location, to just be told you can't be there and up and move, well, I didn't necessarily feel called to go to another place. That's a whole nother story, but I thought I would just throw that in there as we're talking about this African blend and putting on a pith helmet, and I just realized that there's a giraffe's head over my shoulder. Let me tell you about this wonderful gift that I got given to me last night at Pipe Club. One of the guys, he said, I have a gift for you in the car. I'm going to go get it. And I had even really forgotten about talking about this in one of my videos. I'm not sure which video number it was. But the best four-wheel drive that I've ever had. It happened to be my very first car. And I've owned two of them in my lifetime. Now, the gentleman, the gift which he gave me, he had owned three of these. And hands down, in my opinion, the best four-wheel drive vehicle ever made was the Ford Bronco, the late 60s, 70s model. I've only owned the 70s model, so I can't say what they were like in the 60s. But my very first car was a 72 Ford Bronco. And when I first arrived in Nigeria in the late 90s, the Nigerian military had a whole bunch of these Broncos given to them or sold to them by the U.S. government back in the 70s. Well, I ended up with one of those from the 70s. Well, here is the gift given to me by Jeb last evening at the Briary, and it's just wonderful. It's great to get this little model, this little die-cast toy. I believe it's Matchbox brand, but of a 70s model Ford Bronco. Now, the one which I had in Nigeria was all white and was a 76, as I said, and then the one that I had here, which is my first one, it was a metallic blue. Wished I would love to have either one of them. Now, the great thing with the one in Nigeria, kind of neat thing, was it had been completely remade, rebuilt engine, the upholstery had all been redone, and the wild thing was the meticulous detail that the Nigerians had gone to with the upholstery. Had I not have been familiar with the Bronco, I would not have known that there was really that much of a difference in it. So, wonderful gift. Thank you, Jeb. I know he watches these videos, and it's gonna find a place up on my little shelf in here next to my old 75 Ford school bus, which I converted one of those into an RV and drove that from Birmingham, Alabama, all the way to Belize twice. Most people only do something that crazy once. All right, she's getting a little too antsy here. I'll say, as far as the African Queen, this has been a very pleasant rediscovery, I should say. My first time smoking it in a cob. I don't normally smoke cobs. And I had another cob which I was looking for today. I couldn't find it. There's two things that you really don't buy as estates. You don't buy estate cigars and you don't buy estate corn cobs. Now, some of you, it's going to take you a minute to get the estate cigar statement. But but anyway, so the cob which I was looking for today, I just can't find it. But it's an estate cob which I have, and when I can find it, I'll show it to you. It's just such a unique design of a cob that when I saw it several years ago, I had to have it. and I don't really think it had been smoked, maybe just a couple of times, but it's very plain, and just has a stem that sticks in it. But it's it's neat. Wished I could find it. Maybe you're saying, why are you talking about it when you don't have it to show? But anyway, that's on my mind. Pleasant smoke, very enjoyable. One thing I will say with the vanilla custard, I smoked yesterday 4 bowls of it. Never even came close to tongue bite. I think I smoked maybe a total of 8 bowls of various tobaccos yesterday, including the vanilla cream. And sometimes on those days, especially Pipe Club days, when maybe I smoke a lot of different blends and smoke more bowls than I normally do, probably the normal average would be somewhere between 3 and 5. Your tongue starts to get a little raw. But yesterday, not even any sense of that. And I think a part of it is as much as I love the country estate, as much as I love the best of show, I think just over time they're so rich that must wear on the tongue a little bit. And so I'm noticing that vanilla custard didn't do that. I don't have any more in my pocket. Scout is just right here. Come on. Are you wanting to be in the video? Oh, now here's Jealous. Well, brothers and sisters, I talked with Dance Dad. We saw him last evening, and he also left a comment on the previous video. We will be together live here in Professor Jeremiah's parlor on Thursday evening. So the plan is to go live at 9 o'clock. So if you want to join us for that time, be sure and set your watch. We'll see if we can set up a date here, or a countdown on YouTube. Brothers and sisters, have a happy Cobb Tuesday, and God bless. Are you jealous?